Hey, I'm Jonathan Amy, and we're here with Megan Miller with the Do Better movement. And she's going to talk to us today about how we can be responsive to our learners. And I'm really excited for this. So, Megan.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, Rochelle, for inviting me. I'm so excited about Heart the Chart and all of the resources that you all are putting out. So we decided to talk about being responsive to your learner. This is a topic area that myself and Steve Ward and a few of my other colleagues have been presenting on at conferences and trying to really flesh out. It's hard. It's a lot easier when we think about the work that we do as behavior analysts and precision teachers to write protocols, follow scripts, and just, go with that. But in all reality, we need to have certain guidelines that we're following and then be able to shift in the moment based on what our learner is actually doing. So a lot of the coaching and training I've been doing over the past few years, I've noticed there's just this tendency to hard line follow something. And I've actually noticed it the most with my husband. That's really where it has really lots of bubbles and thoughts have come up for me, because he'll have something in his head about what he needs to do with our son, and he's just so rigid about it and can't see the full context and can't see what Taylor is telling him needs to happen, right? So that's really made it more apparent to me, oh my gosh, we do this all of the time with our clients where we're so focused on our own agenda of this is what I need to get through, or this is what I need to do, or this is what the protocol says, that we miss the cues coming at us from the learner or other things that are happening in the environment. So I've been trying to play around with, how can we train people? It's hard because when I started in the field, we didn't really get much training. It was you were just thrown in there with the kids, and to be successful, you had to problem solve in the moment, or you'd get, you would have a horrible session. So we didn't have someone overseeing us at all time. We didn't even we met with our person once a month, and we usually went through programs. They didn't even really see what we were doing. So you just really had to think on your feet all the time. And it was just expected that that's what you would do. So I think it's good that we have a lot of training and whatnot now, and a lot better supervision models, but it's kind of flipped the other way where people are too reliant on those black and white type of things, and they're losing that analytical problem solving piece in the moment. So one of the things that I came up with for one of the presentations is that maybe we could start training the RBTs or parents or teachers, whoever we're working with, even, behavior analysts who might be newer or just aren't showing very much analytical skills. One of the things in the moment when you're working with your learner and you're trying to be responsive with them is to provide training on how to ask yourself questions. So I've done a lot of reflecting on my own of how am I coming at these decisions that I'm making? And the first question I ask is, what is my goal right now? So, what is it? What's my priority? What is it that I want to see this learner doing? What are we helping them do? And then I think, okay, I know my goal. How does the responding from the learner that's happening right now relate to this goal? Is it moving the learner toward the goal? Is it moving them away from the goal? Is this a response that should be supported and reinforced, even if it's not quite the response I was looking for? Or is it a response that interferes with progress and I need to pull back a little bit and change direction? So that's kind of around the goal, what I look at and think about in terms of how do I need to respond right now? And then I also afterwards, and sometimes during, it kind of depends, I think about why is whatever is responding is happening, why is that happening right now? So what is the learner trying to accomplish with this response? If I've thought that I had a great plan set up to help the learner work through a challenging situation, but they're engaging in high rates of challenging behavior, why is that happening? What did I not put into the environment that, this is going on? Maybe there's a component skill that needs to be more fluent. Maybe there's a support that needs to be put into place that I wasn't aware of. Maybe there's whole skills missing that need to be trained first. So there's something going on with the learner if that responding isn't happening the way I want it to. And then I would also ask myself, what have I done in my teaching to cause this response to happen? So we all know the learner is always right. So what am I doing that's making this situation occur, and how can I fix that? And if it's something that I want to see continue in the future, if it's something that's moving them towards their goal, how can I maintain this responding and continue to reinforce that and support them so that they can continue towards their goal? So those are some of the questions that I look at. And one of the other things that I've been doing is looking at a lot of the times in programs that we would write or behavior plans, we usually have like, you know, first step, do this, then do this, then do this. And you might even see on, if you take antecedent behavior consequence data, that you have those 3 boxes, you know, what happened, what did the learner do, how did you respond to it? What I've noticed in these plans is there's a lot of like what the adult should do, but then there's never the like, what do we do based on the learner's response? So I've started making these new tables where it's like, if the learner response is this. So for example, if the learner calmly transitions from a high preference activity, then what should the caregiver do? Maintain a reinforcing environment. But it doesn't end there. What's next? So there's a 3rd column on the table that says next, how do we shift our responding? So we would immediately provide a higher level of reinforcement. We might provide language modeling or assistance. We would refrain from taking control or doing any sort of things that the learner might find aversive, like waiting, giving up items, telling them no, etc., for a few minutes. That's how we're maintaining our reinforcing environment. And we'd also refrain from transitioning if the learner is really interested. And we might also look at, if the learner is not interested in the activity, providing an opportunity for him to choose something else that he wants. So this is a specific example with a client that I worked with who had a lot of things that we were working on around like doing things his way versus someone else's way and maintaining control over the environment versus losing control. So if he's calmly transitioning, these are the things we want to see happening. But we also had plans in place for if his responding wasn't calm. So if he shows mad several times in a row within a few minutes in a situation that shouldn't really result in him being mad, like he's playing with something completely how he wants to play, he's doing some like daily routine activities that he does every day just fine. So if that's our learner's response, then the caregiver's response might be a mini consequence. And then what will they do with that mini consequence and then following that? So for the mini consequence, they wouldn't say anything about his behavior, but they'd start pulling back on the preferred items. And then as soon as he stops showing mad and starts, you know, being more tolerable about what's happening around him, she would start moving the items closer to him until they can engage for about 15 to 30 seconds without showing mad. So instead of having plans where it's just like this black and white, these are the steps the adult follows, it's more interactive with what the learner's doing and how to sort of do the dance of like, okay, this is how I'll move forward. Oh, now I need to shift over here. So I don't have a perfect framework yet. It's all like a work in progress, but those are some of the things that I've been doing to try to figure out how we can teach people to be more responsive to their learners.
Megan, yeah, that's right in alignment with just all of our values. You know, we're looking at this moment-to-moment motivational analysis, and you're giving people the tools right now on how to begin doing that, which is such a difficult thing for instructors to learn, but that's just a wonderful way to begin doing it. So thank you for sharing all that, Megan. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much.